Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is Jaya Jagi from Global Shapers Rawalpindi Hub. As you know, we have started a series of online sessions for capacity building of our youth, considering that 64% population of Pakistan is youth. As you are aware that we have already conducted few sessions where we had some experts from various fields and they have guided us really well regarding various concerns we are mostly concerned about, including entrepreneurship, startup ecosystem, investment, and the relative other elements. Today, our topic is communication skills, and we are honored and privileged to have Abdur Rahman Khatak with us, who shall be sharing his valuable insights about how to improve communication skills and what are the do's and don'ts of communication skills. Thank you so much, sir, for being here in this show.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, Jaya, for having me. Thank you for the invitation. And it's always a pleasure speaking on platforms where there's youth involved and where there's learning. And thank you so much. And yeah, let's go.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Abdurrahman Khattak does not need any introduction, but I am honored and privileged to have him, and I am honored to share his introduction with you all. He is a certified trainer and a corporate developer with a master's degree in education and a sound experience in teaching, training, and content development. He possesses exceptional competence in a range of curriculum areas. He has received his certification in teaching English to speakers of other languages from University of Cambridge and professional award in teacher development from the British Council. He is currently a part of the British Council as a training consultant and content development. He shall be sharing his insights about how we can improve our command on language and communication skills. So the schedule of our today's session would be question and answer session. I shall be putting forward few questions towards you, and we are
Mhm.
looking forward to have your guidance on these sessions. So let's start the session. My first
Okay.
question to you is, how important do you think communication skills are?
Very important. I cannot emphasize enough, I cannot stress enough how important communication skills are. No matter where you are, no matter what you do, you have to communicate with other people every time of the day with your dress, with your silence, with your relationship with others, everything that you do, you're basically communicating with people. So communication skills are immensely important. They're extremely important. um, okay, let's start with your personal relationships, your personal life. You communicate with your family members, with your friends, with your partners, with your children, if you have them. So your relationship with them depends solely on how you communicate with them. Your relationships will be enhanced, they'll be strengthened if you have solid communication with them. And it's not something that you're born with. You have to learn how to communicate with your friends, you have to learn how to communicate with your life partner, you have to learn how to communicate with your colleagues. Every communication is requires a different um, information, it requires different skills. And that's why I think communication is fascinating and it's very interesting, because it changes everything. It changes your perspective towards life. It changes your financial status. It changes everything. Now let's talk about your professional relationships. No matter what job you're doing, you will be required to have a good communication. It can be in terms of writing emails. It can be how you communicate with your boss. It can be how you delegate powers, how you delegate duties to people who are working with you. It all needs solid command on communication skills. So I would say from personal to professional, and from talking to yourself, how your self talk, your positive self talk is also a communication that you have with yourself. So basically, your life, all your life, you communicate. And if you don't know how to communicate, it will not be a productive life.
Very well said, sir. Thank you so much for the insights. Sir, what do you think the role language plays while communicating?
Okay, so it plays a very important role. Let me tell you that if you're communicating in a language that people can understand, your message will be conveyed. It will have a broader horizon. So nowadays, I believe languages can play an immense role. So I believe so. Let me tell you the statistics first. According to science, a healthy human being can learn up to 7 languages. You can be fluent speaker of 7 languages. Now, if I ask normal people, if I ask people across, my social circle, how many languages do they know? They have their first language. In Punjab, it is mostly Punjabi, or Urdu, or in some parts of Punjab we have Saraiki, and then they learn Urdu because it's spoken in schools and it's spoken in the neighborhoods, and then eventually they have to learn English as well. So these 3 languages, and we learn Arabic for our religious reasons, and some learn Persian as well. So still they're not 7. And are we fluent in these languages, all of them? No, we are not. Can we effectively communicate in all of these languages? No. Even Urdu, which is our national language, when we speak Urdu, and now it's kind of depressing for me because I was born in an era where language was given a lot of importance. How we spoke a language was given a lot of importance in schools, at homes. But now I see youth not effectively using Urdu as well, which is our national language. What I would say, we should devote a good amount of time to learning a new language. And looking at the environment, looking at the needs of the 21st century, that language would definitely be English. So, whatever you do, whether you're a student or a professional, a businessman, a parent, you need to learn English so that all of these roles can be effectively carried out.
Thank you so much, sir. So, my next question to you is it important to learn communication skills as a part of your curriculum or joining any platform or workshops for improving your communication skills?
Absolutely. Why not? Well, it's a sad fact that our curriculum is not teaching the skills that we would need in our life. All my life, I've learned in my academics, I've learned the skills, I've learned the information that I was not able to use in my real life. At the moment I joined the workforce, the moment I joined the practical life, as people say, I realized that I needed an entirely different skill set, a skill set that was not taught to me when I was at school. And the first being communication skill. So let me tell you, yes, it's absolutely important. It's not only important, it's crucial. It's compulsory that you have to learn effective communication skills, and it needs to be a part of your curriculum. Whether whatever role you are planning to acquire, you have to learn communication skills, and it's the role of the school, it's the role of the education system, it's the role of the people who design curricula, that we have to include uh, communication skills in our curriculum from the very beginning, not only in universities and colleges, but from the elementary school. We have to teach our youngsters how to effectively convey their message in more than one languages. So yes, absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Sir, being a corporate trainer, do you think our graduates are enough equipped with communication skills and they are able to communicate their messages effectively once they are graduated?
I will share with you an incident that was shared by one of my senior friends, a trainer. He was also a part of an interview panel. So he was interviewing fresh graduates, and they were being selected for a teaching position. And not a lot of experience was required for that. So all of them were pretty young. And the first question that interview panel would ask the interviewees, the people who were applying for the job, was that, what is your favorite subject? And from that favorite subject, they would ask, okay, what's the favorite area? And then they would ask questions from there. And even in that area, when the interview panel would ask questions, they would say, some of them would say, "Sir, ये तो हमारे notes में था ही नहीं. Sir, this was not a part of our slides." So the point that he was trying to make is that our graduates, our universities are teaching information. They're teaching facts. They're expecting the students to memorize a certain amount of information that they can reproduce on the papers. And how do you expect them to communicate, or how do you expect them to have an opinion? Sadly, our youth is not opinionated. They are not taught, and it's not their fault. They've not been trained on how to think critically. They've not been trained on how to solve problems. So all of these skills that we need in real life, in to solve problems, to contribute to the society, to earn a livelihood, to earn something that they can provide to their family, um, is not taught. So yes, it's extremely important to learn communication, and our graduates sadly are not equipped with the skills that they will need in real life, not only professionally but also personally. They don't have good relationships, as you can see that um, the stress, even when you have achievements, people are not happy, and happiness is directly connected with how you communicate with people around you, how you communicate with yourself. So, all of these things are indicating that there's a serious flaw in the education system, and we need to seriously think about teaching communication skills in our schools, colleges, universities, and other training centers.
Sir, indeed, it is a grave concern we all should care about. Sir, how can one improve communication skills?
Very good question. How can you improve your communication skills? Now, it depends on where you are in your life and where you want to reach. First things first, so it's a like a very big question, and it needs to be discussed in different ways. I will start by saying that first you need to improve your communication with yourself. You need to address yourself respectfully. You need to value your potential. And I've seen many people who are immensely talented, but what they do is they think less of themselves, and as a result their relationship with themselves is not very good. It happens because either they've received negative criticism from people around them, they've been negatively treated, they've people didn't expect much from them. Many reasons can be there, but as a result, they do not think that they're enough. So the first thing we can do is to improve the relationship that we have with ourselves, and this is possible by talking to yourself in a positive way, telling yourself how talented you are, and if you've made a mistake in past, forgiving yourself for that. So what I do, I suggest teachers and other trainees in my sessions is that every day you have to talk to yourself for at least 10 minutes. You can do it in front of the mirror, ideally, and then tell yourself how much you love yourself. And and then when I get the feedback from my trainees, they say that that affected their life in such a positive way. Their relationships became better with other people. You know, the secret is, if you have a good relationship with yourself, then your relationship with other people, your colleagues, people in your family, your friends also become better. People who don't like themselves, they don't like other people as well. That's like a an open secret. Everybody should know that. So the first thing everyone should do is that we should start telling ourselves that we are worth everything. We are worth all the dreams that we have, and we will do it. And we have all the right potential to be successful in life. So, so this is the first thing we should do. The next thing that we should do is that, depending on the timetable we should spare some time. We should find some time to improve our communication skill through by doing a course. There are many ways of learning how to communicate effectively. You can either join a communications skills session. Look around; there will be people who will be teaching communication skills. If you can't afford to go to a communication skills session, you can go online and you can do a free course from YouTube and from Udemy and from Lynda. There are many other learning platforms where you can sign up for a free course. Now, after you do those courses, you will start feeling more confident, and then give yourself a chance to speak in front of other people. So find a group where people will be willing to listen to you, and then test your communication skills. And when you do that, you will get a feedback. You will, and getting feedback is also a skill. Asking people to give you honest and unbiased feedback is a skill. which is also communication skill. So once you do that, you will build upon that, you will build on that, and then you will become better at communication. So slowly and gradually, you will become better at communication skill. And another thing that I would like to add here is that it should be consistent. Nobody anywhere can safely say that they are the best at communication or they're the experts of communication. We can never become perfect in communication. And like you said, that language is a big part of communication. So what we can do is we need to improve our language skills. If you don't want to learn English, it's fine. If your business or if your personal life only needs Urdu, you have to become better at Urdu. You have to become better at your regional language. Why not? All the languages that you already know and use, you should become better at them. And you can do that again by either going to a course, by paying, signing up for a course face to face, or you can do it online. So depending on how much money and time you're ready to invest, you can start moving ahead and you can start improving your communication skills. I would like to add my experiences here as well, and it's very important to tell your experience with and your journey. And I do share with people. I come from a very humble background. I had nothing when I was growing up, no opportunities, very limited resources, and I was a very shy kid. I was not very social. I was socially awkward. I didn't have many friends as well. Um, and that, and I realized that this is not how life can be passed. I need to learn how to be social. I need to learn how to become better at speaking. And that was only possible when I started realizing and then I started finding the ways through which I could improve my communication skills. So what helped me was internet. So what I did was I started, searching for material that could help me in becoming. And people who know me from my childhood, they are surprised because they knew me as a very socially awkward and very shy and very limited um, child. Some even thought that I was proud because I didn't communicate with people, but that was mainly because I was never comfortable communicating with people. So if I can do that, and I have always I went to public schools, government schools. I didn't have very uh, I would say it was a good education, but it was not like a very well designed education. So if I can do that, you can do that as well. And my communication then opened many doors for me. I became a trainer. I was accepted wherever I went. I learned how to write, so my writing helped me a lot. Also, I worked with big organizations like UNICEF. I worked with British Council. I worked with USAID. I worked with all the leading organizations in Lahore, educational and otherwise. So all of these doors were opened for me mainly because of my communication skills. So this can change your life entirely. Whatever you're doing, become better at communicating, start giving positive vibes and positive messages to people, and you will see that your life will change.
Thank you, sir. So here I would definitely like to share something that most of the best communicators, including you, have said that they were introverts and shy. It's really strange to know that the people who were introvert have grown so much that they are guiding people. It's definitely a success story for all who are struggling with communication skills. Would you like to share
Okay,
something?
yeah, and that's a very good point, Jaya. I would like to add that introverts are confused with people who don't have confidence. So it's not necessary that if you're an introvert, you will have a lack of confidence as well. Some introverts are very confident. They believe in themselves, but because they are built like that, they are designed like that, so people think that they're not confident as well. But thankfully, the information on being introvert or extrovert is now available to people. So now people can actually give other people some space or relaxation based on what kind of personality they have. So thankfully, um, and let me tell you one more thing, Jaya. This world is designed for extroverts, unfortunately. They demand you to be open. They demand you to reach out to people. They expect you to share, and and somehow I believe that introverts are not given as much of a space or opportunity to to live their life. And introvert having an introvert personality is sometimes confused with this person is either rude, or he has nothing to say, or he's dumb, or many other titles are given to people. So thank you for bringing this up. If you are introvert, you can still be very good at communication skills. And I know many people personally that when they're on stage, they are rocking the stage, and they're communicating effectively. But when they're not on stage, or when they're not working, they are very shy and limited, and they want to spend their time indoors reading and watching movies, and they like to spend their time with themselves. So that's a totally different thing. But we should expose ourselves to different situations, no matter what kind of personality you have. Try to break that comfort zone. So I've seen many young people who say, sir, I'm introvert, so I don't like to go out, I don't have many friends. And what I advise them is yes, you're an introvert, and you work very well when you work alone. But go out more, socialize more, connect with people, try to do it. And even if you're not very good at it, but still you'll be able to learn something about yourself and about the world. So I think we should challenge ourselves, we should test our elements, and we should go out and do more.
Very well pointed out, sir. Sir, sometimes people are reluctant to spend money on such courses or workshops, improving their communication skills, or they're unaware of the importance of it, or they're unsure whether it will be beneficial for them or not. How do you see it?
Well, I see it, we need immediate gratification. When we go out and we order a pizza or a burger, it is served in front of us, and we give our taste buds a treat. And this is how our mind works. We need everything in return, and very quickly. And when we are investing in learning, the results are not in front of us, at least they're not visibly in front of us very soon. So what happens is people think that it's maybe a loss of money or a loss of time. And what they fail to recognize is the compound effect, how things build up, and how these skills are basically helping you to become a better version of yourself, personally and professionally. So what I would advise people, everybody, no matter what you're doing in your life, if you invest if you invest in the right direction, investment of your time, investment of your money, this will reward you in some ways. And when I started making some money, when I started working, I started investing some part of my income on the monthly basis in my personal improvement. And many trainers across the world, they believe that 10% of your income should go back to you, should go in your personal development. So for example, if you're making, I'm just giving an example, if you're making 10,000, just say, so 1,000 should go to your personal development. So that 1,000 for 2 months, so you can buy a course online, or you can save up some money, and then you can do a course. And I assure you that that money and that time will help you, will pay you back in many different ways. I can give you my example that I've done. When I decided to become a teacher trainer, I did not leave any avenue, I did not leave any opportunity, no matter it was paid, or no matter it was free, I availed that opportunity. And that helped me become who I am today. So please start investing in yourself. I'll give you because I keep learning from people around. So there was this guy who was a woodcutter, and his axe was it was blunt, it was not working properly, and he was sweating, and he was working really hard in cutting the wood so he could provide food for the family. So somebody who was passing by, he said, why don't you sharpen your axe? So he said, I don't have time to sharpen my axe, I have to cut wood so I can. So that's how we think. We are not interested in sharpening our skills or to enhancing our skills. If we do that, not only our income will improve, our relationships will improve, and so in the long run, it will save your time. So what we do is we spend most of our time on social media, on doing useless things that will not contribute to our life in the future. So every day, learn something new. Every day, work on yourself. And if that requires your time and money, please do invest it because it will help you in the long run.
Thank you, sir. I just love that idea of spending 10%, or I would say investing
Yes.
10% back on ourselves. Sir, as you have talked about investing, here I just have a concern that considering that most of the students or the people currently in Pakistan are not financially stable, they are struggling with it, and then definitely they try to invest on their essential goods rather than on these skills. And sadly, our curriculum does not provide any such opportunity to grow a person and the communication skills. So how do you see it, and how do you think we can cope it, considering the fact that people are not financially stable, but again, communication skills are really important.
Okay, now I'm going to say something which will be difficult to digest, for everybody who will be listening. Your financial troubles will teach you more about your potential, your skills, than anything else in the world. Financial troubles are a blessing in disguise. If you have enough money, and if you don't have to worry about money, you will never know about your true potential. And I'm a living example of that. When I was studying, when I was doing my master's, when I was doing my MPhil, when I was learning to become a trainer, I had no money. And I was able to go through that. I was able to work through that. So during my studies, I was also working. And when I tell this to people, they find it really hard to believe that during my master's, I was working for a call center in the evening. So I was studying in the morning. I was at college. I was at university, and then in the afternoon, I had an academy. I used to go there to teach the subject, and then in the at night, I was working at a call center. And the only reason I was able to pull all these things through was that I didn't have any money. And my friends who were living with me, they had no worries because money would come on the first of every month from their homes, and they would not even test their elements. They would not even try to do things. And what happened was, when they were done with their degrees, they didn't know what to do. They didn't know where to start. And I knew, because I had already tested my teaching skills, I had already improved my communication skills, because I had to work. So, my message to all the people who are listening right now: if you don't have money, that's God's gift to you, because now you have to make money. And when you start making money, you you realize what potential you have. You actually find out your true potential and your true talent. So finding your gift is only possible when you don't have enough money. And I am thankful for all the testing times that were given by God my way, and those testing times have actually made me who I am today. Otherwise, I would not have found what I was capable of. I could not have become a strong person. And I've seen, and this is a mistake that our parents in Pakistan are making, is that they facilitate too much. They give too much. Please, once your child turns 18, stop paying them money. This is my advice to the parents. Give them minimum, and then expect them to make their money themselves. They have to learn, and they have to earn at the same time. This is something I think we should borrow from the Western culture, is that they don't give too much to their kids, no matter how rich they are. Even if they have money, they don't give everything to their children, and they expect them to start earning as soon as they turn 18. So our parents keep feeding our children until they are 28, 30, and as a result, they are not able to do anything when they're done with their studies. And this is a mistake.
Thank you so much, sir, for highlighting such a crucial point. I extremely loved it.
Thank
So
you.
here I want you to throw light on feedback, the importance of giving and receiving valuable feedback.
Yes, absolutely. Now, when you're working professionally, you have to give feedback to people, especially when you are in a leadership position. You need people to improve their performance, and that's what leaders that and coaches and mentors do. But what we do is, we make a mistake by assuming that because we have more experience, and because we have more expertise or qualification, etc., we are allowed to tell people what to do. A good leader would never tell people what to do. Do this, do that. No, nobody likes that. Okay. So there is a cycle. There are steps that people need to follow when they want to give feedback, and I would like to share with people as well. Those who would watch this later or listen to this later, please do note if you want. The first step to the feedback cycle is listening. Before you tell them what to do, listen to them and listen effectively. Don't just pretend that you're listening. So this is the first step. Listen to them, help them express what they want to express. The second thing, which is very important, instead of bombarding them with the solutions that you have, do this, do that, ask them what what can happen. Ask them what do you think can happen. What is the solution if in your experience? Sometimes we have solutions. Okay, all we want is the chance that somebody asks us, what do you think can happen? And then solutions come up. You must have noticed, Jaya, when you're sharing a problem with any of your friends, while you're sharing a problem with a friend, a solution pops up in your mind. Does it happen?
Yes,
So that
exactly.
conversation, so your friend has done nothing. That friend has just provided you a sounding board, an ear to listen, and what happens as a result, the solutions start happening. So that important step is missing in most of our conversations with the people that we are working with. So what we need to do is listen. Then we should rephrase so that we understand what they're trying to say. Then ask them for a solution, and then if they don't come up to the right solution or the right point, then suggest solution indirectly. Let's try that. Can we try that? Instead of saying do this, do that, we can say, why can't we try this thing? I think it would work. Or why don't you do this? So instead of telling them what to do, suggest. And at the end, offer support. What we fail to do as leaders, as trainers, as coaches, as mentors is at the end, we never tell them, I'm with you. If it goes wrong, I'll still be with you. And you have my support. You have my, uh, so I'm with you. I've got your back. So, so if you follow these 5 steps, your relationships with people will become better. They will respect you more, and their performance will also become better. You can no matter if you're a parent, you're a teacher, a lawyer, no matter what role you're in, start giving people an effective feedback, and then you would see not only will they be thankful, they will also improve personally and professionally.
Thank you so much, sir. Feedback is definitely an important element of communication, or I would say the heart of communication.
It
So
is
here I would
absolutely.
like you to throw light on do's and don'ts of small talks.
Okay, small talk. Okay, first I'll start by saying that I used to be very bad at small talk. I hated small talk. And there were events in my life where I had to open up to people and I had to share my experiences with people. But because I was so constricted in myself, I had a lack of confidence. I was very bad at small talk. And now research has found out that small talk is more important than your real business. Building a rapport or building a relationship with people, it all starts with small talk. So by the way, what is small talk? Small talk is something that you talk about, which is neutral, which is relevant, visibly not important, or which is off the topic, some people believe, like talking about weather. So when we meet someone, a colleague, a friend, what do? We start with talking about weather, or did you watch that show, or have you attended that event, or did you? So whatever. So general things, weather, TV, movies, music, etc. Now, leaders across the world now believe that a person who is good at small talk will have better relationships and will be able to get better work from the people working with them. So he'll definitely be a better leader, a better coach. So if you are in a business meeting and you rush in the meeting and you say, okay, let's talk about sales, or let's talk about profits, And you don't start by saying, how are you? And how's your family? And how's the weather? And are you enjoying this or that? So if you don't start with pleasantries, you have lost an opportunity to build a connection with people. So I believe that it's very important to build a connection with people before telling them what you do or before telling them what you believe in. So small talk is very important. And now some mistakes that we make mostly, these mistakes are so bad that if you start by asking these questions, you will never be able to restore or rescue your relationship with that person. And we all make these mistakes. I have learned to avoid these questions now. Alhamdulillah, I'm very thankful that I found this information and I learned how to become better at small talk. Now, for example, the first thing people ask you, how much do you make? What's your salary? Is it a good question to ask people? No. So when you're making a relationship, when you're building a rapport, never ask people how much they earn because it makes them uncomfortable and it puts them on a spot. So what happens is your relationship with that person is affected in a negative way. And then asking people about personal questions like their religion, their religious orientation. Now, religion is generally a very controversial topic, but now it has become a more controversial and topic and difficult topic to discuss. So please avoid asking people about their political or religious beliefs. I know people personally who hate each other because they support different political parties. They work together. They are supposed to work as a team, but they don't like to talk to each other just because they support different political parties. What a shame. So please do not ask people such questions. Another thing that we should never talk about is people's marital status and their relationship status. A mistake that we make is that the first question we ask people is that, are you married? Do you have kids? Such a silly question to ask. This is something that we should never ask people. If they bring up this topic, yes, they can, and then you can ask a follow-up question. But if not, then you shouldn't be the one bringing up this topic. Okay, now these were the don'ts of small talk. We shouldn't talk about politics, religion, salary, income. Another thing that people do is that when they see someone holding an expensive item like a gadget or mobile phone, the first thing they would say, "Kitne ka liya hai? How much is it?" Now, this makes people uncomfortable because they don't want to disclose the price. So please do not, you can simply Google the price of that product and you will know. And something that we should do as a small talk, please listen effectively. I know it's sometimes difficult to listen effectively and patiently, but you have to. This is the respect that you are giving them. So if you need better relationships with your clients, with your friends, with your family members, please do listen to them and ask follow-up questions. So what happens is a person is telling a story, and what we fail to do is that we, okay, phir kya hua? Then what happened? And then ask them questions so that they tell you about it. So when you're doing that, you are improving your relationship with that person, which will help you and that person in the long run. So please pay respect to people and pay attention to people. And these are the things that we should focus on while building rapport and while doing small talk.
Thank you, sir. I would definitely encourage everyone to abide by these do's and don'ts of
Thank you.
small talk. So, here I would like to know about your opinion of non-verbal communication and its impact on our
Okay,
personality.
that's a very, very good question. So, all the people who are in communication, they mostly emphasize on verbal communication, the way we write, the way we speak, and our content, the material that we use. But not many people are focusing on non-verbal communication. So, this is something we need to start working on. So basically, non-verbal communication is the way people perceive you, from your body language, from your gestures, from the movement of your body, the movement of your eyes, your facial expressions, etc. And these are sometimes more important than what you are saying. So according to a research, when you enter a room, a training room, a seminar hall, and you're about to deliver a speech or a presentation, or you want to share your findings, before people listen to you, and before you even introduce yourself, people have already decided whether they're going to like you or dislike you. So it takes 30 seconds. 30 is the highest. Some people believe it takes 8 seconds. So from 8 to 30 seconds to have an opinion about you. It means that your words come later, you come first. So how you dress and how you walk, how you make people feel, how you look at them, develop an eye contact, that is more important. Now, body language is important for two main reasons. First is that people can relate with you or dissociate with you based on your body language. And the second thing is how you feel inside is also mainly or heavily reliant on how you act or how you express through your body. I will explain it. So many people think that they're not confident or they're not connecting with people. So what I tell them is you have to you have to basically mimic people that you admire. So for example, if you know a person who is very highly confident and he has a good presence in a room and everybody focuses on that person, you need to learn that person's body language, and you need to pose like that person. So initially it will be like artificial and you will feel awkward, but soon the moment you pose like that, you will start feeling more confident. So I'll give you an example. So I'll ask you, Jaya, how people who are less confident, what is their body language? How do they sit and walk?
Their hands are body gestures are not much opened.
Hmm.
They are reserved. Their hands are not open. So this is how we
Hmm.
judge that they are shivering or not
Hmm.
much confident.
Okay.
But the people
Yes.
who have more hand movements and their hands are opened, they are more confident. This is how we judge people.
Absolutely. So it's easily visible to everybody in the room that this person is less confident because he's fidgeting, he's sweaty, he's shaky, and he's not taking up a lot of space. So many people believe that because you're confident, as a result, you take more space and you show your hands and your. That's not true. Actually, if you have a body language like that, it will give you that feeling. So how you act, that action will actually change your mind, your feeling, and how you feel. For example, this is something that I do with my trainees in the training rooms, is that I ask them to pose like a person they admire, a confident person. Like Tony Robbins, he is one of the most confident people, trainers, one of the most confident trainers, and he also works on nonverbal communication a lot. So he takes up a lot of space, and he sits like when he sits, he's very open and he has a very good eye contact. So what people do in my training rooms is that they sit like that for 30 seconds, and when I ask them, how are you feeling now? Are you feeling more or less confident? They say, sir, we are feeling more confident. And actually, when you do that, not only you start expressing yourself more. So for example, in one of my training rooms, very recently, what I did was, one of the trainees, I could see that she was very shy and she wasn't sharing much, and I did this exercise with everybody. I asked them to sit comfortably and sit like with open arms and take more space, and they did that. And after that, that girl started contributing, she started sharing. So when her body changed, when her posture changed, her mindset or her feeling also changed. So what I believe in is that um, people that you admire, people that you think are more confident than you, start copying them. Don't copy them in every way. For example, you have a unique personality and you have a unique everything is different. So you're not basically copying them in every way, you're just copying their body language. So when you start doing that, you will not only feel more confident, you will also be able to express yourself in a much better way. So this is one thing. There are some more things that I would like to share. um, there are some gestures or body languages which are not culturally appropriate. Even within Pakistan, there are different cultures, right? So we have to be culturally sensitive as well. From our dress, from our body language, we have to be respectful of people. And some gestures like pointing at somebody with your finger, or if, for example, if you're cross, if you, when you sit, when you're cross-legged, so don't put your, your shoe near a person. So respect their space bubble, respect their space. So these are very small things that can create a huge impact, and people perceive you in a different way. So there are some practices that you can do, and you definitely, your non-verbal communication or your postures and your body language will change effectively.
So thank you so much. So here I want to ask, do you think that all the judgments we make on the basis of someone's body gestures are true and real?
That's a good question. Not necessarily true, but does it matter? It's our job to create a good impression on people when we are working professionally. So expecting people to like you just because you're a nice person is not enough. So if I say I'm very nice person and I'm always think good of people and I everybody should like me, is it a good thing to expect? No. We should be realistic. If I don't have a good body language, if I don't leave a good positive impression on people, it's my fault and I need to work on that. So expecting people that they would like you because you are a nice person is not something that you should recommend or you should do. You should work on your body language. Yes, you're right. First impressions are not always the last impression, and sometimes people do change their impressions about some people as well. But don't expect them to do that. Work on yourself. Say nice things. So the first thing everyone should do is that find something that is common, build a connection. So you and I, we are both trying to contact people. So sometimes I also do Facebook live sessions with people that I admire. So this is something that we have in common. And if we are, for example, building rapport, or if we are working on a project together, this should be the first thing I should talk about, because this will help us open up and build a rapport. So yes, first impressions can be wrong and false, but you should try your best to leave a good first impression.
Thank you, sir. Today I got to know that I need to look at few things from a different lens, and thank you so much for that. I want you to throw light on different styles of communication.
Okay, styles of communication. Now, this is a very general question, and there are many, many different styles of communication. But what I believe in is a democratic style. A person who is open to other people's suggestions is always a better communicator. So I'll give you an example, um, um, an experience that was shared by Simon Sinek, one of the trainers that I admire. So he said, in Africa long ago, people used to live in tribes, and that the leader of the tribe, he would sit, and so people would sit in circles, something that I really appreciate, and I do it in my training sessions as well. So instead of people sitting like in a traditional way and trainer is at the front, what I do is I ask them to sit in a U shape or a circle, so that everybody can see everybody and they can communicate with everybody, and they can also easily communicate with the trainers. So this style of, okay, so they would sit in a circle, and then the tribe leader would sit quietly and he would invite everybody to share something. Everybody would speak, say a few words and share their experiences, etc. And at the end, the tribe leader would speak. So so there are two advantages of doing that. Asking people to share first and then sharing your views later, it gives you two advantages. Number one, now you know what people are thinking, and some good solutions can also come when people are sharing their views before you share. And the second advantage is, now your solution, your answer that you will give at the end will be more refined, will be more informed, right? So a mistake that we make is that we are in a hurry to speak first. What happens is our answers are incomplete. We don't know the real situation sometimes. And then as a leader, we lose our um, the trust of the people and our the credit that people give us, the trust that people give us as a leader, we lose that. So a, a good communication style is the one in which you listen more and you speak less. Okay, there are some other communication styles as well, which are appreciated and practiced across the globe, in which one is to never speak, is to just ask people to share their experiences. And there, for example, some cultures across the globe, they are not very good at expressing, so they just express from their body language. So Japanese are globally known for not being able to say no. For example, if there's a situation, a business deal going on, and they don't like the proposal, they would not say no, we can't do business with you. They would just say um, we will think about it, or they would say something which is different from a no. And in some cultures, like in Brazil or in Pakistan, it's easy for people to say no, right? Especially in professional conditions. So there are different styles. They vary from culture to culture. They vary from religion to religion. There are many, many different things that contribute to our communication style. But let me also add that with the advent of technology and world becoming a global village, now there is only one culture, which is global culture. And that global culture expects us to have empathy. It expects us to have uh, to to learn about other people and their problems before imposing your decisions on them. So this changing world demands us to be a better listener. It demands us to be more, to have better empathy and to relate with people and to trust them as well. We need to trust people more, and we need to connect with them more so that we can together grow and become better financially, socially, and in other factors.
Very well said, sir. This is the key that we can grow together. And so here
Yes.
I want you to guide us that as you are aware that we meet different people in different environment. Sometimes it's corporate culture, sometimes it's academic culture, sometimes it's civil organization, and they all have a bit different of ways of communication. So how do you see it? Should one be communicating differently while going to different cultures, or there should be one standard way of doing it? Please guide us on this.
Okay, it's a very good question, first of all, because people are different. So I will answer this question in two ways. The first thing is a technique that I teach my trainees in my communication skill session is mirroring. How to mirror. So, for example, if in an environment I'm meeting a CEO, for example, and he's a very soft person with like a very positive and relaxing energy, and he's sitting very comfortably, and he's like, so I should mirror his body language. I should also tone down my energy to match his energy, so that he can feel that I'm one of them. I'm one of, I'm not a foreigner, I'm not an alien. So, matching your energy, matching your body language, even matching your language. So, if a person is speaking with me in Urdu, I think it will be disrespectful if I start speaking with him in English. So, I should respect him enough to choose the words that he is choosing. Even we should learn to choose their jargons and the language they use in their industry or in their business. So, this is mirroring that you can try in every situation. So if a person is, for example, has a very high energy, I see people in the corporate sector that they're very excited all the time and they're full of enthusiasm all the time. So if you want to make that person feel comfortable, you should also match his energy. You should also match his body language. Some other things that we can do, for example, is that, and it is expected of you as well, to sit in front of the other person. And psychology, human psychology, dictates that if you are sitting opposite in front of a person, it's a competition. It creates a negative environment. So if you want to win a deal, or if you want to if you want your proposal to be accepted, sit in a way that you are in the same seats, like you're parallel, not opposite. So there are many things that that you can do in order to match your energy or to match your body language with that person. But briefly, I would say that you have to mirror the other person in terms of how they're sitting, in terms of what words they're using, and also you should come before I. What does it mean? It means if I'm having a conversation with you and it's a business conversation, so I should be interested in what Jaya is interested. I should talk about the outcomes and how they are going to benefit Jaya, and that this will be my success. And if I'm talking about my success, and if I'm talking about my life, and if I'm talking about everything which revolves around my achievements or my goals, that is not going to help you, and you're not going to be interested in that conversation as well. So if you want to win uh, a business deal, or if you want to improve your relationship, you should try and talk about the other person that you're in conversation with, and try to match their energy and their body language, and this will greatly improve your communication with that person.
Very well pointed out, sir. So, lastly, I would like to ask, can you please share some tips and tricks for presentation skills?
Presentation skills. Now, yes, presentation skills are a big part of communication skills, and in our business life, in our student life, we are always presenting, and you are expected to have better presentation skills as well. So there are a few things that I would like to share with you. Um, so the first thing is less is more. I have seen people torturing other people with the amount of information that they are trying to give them. So please keep it short. Every time you go to the stage, or every time you're given a chance to speak in a meeting, especially, or in a business setting, you should be the one with the smallest amount of time, using the smallest amount of time. Why? Because it is research says that if you had delivered a 30-minute speech, people will not be able to remember all of it. They will only remember some of it. And after, people have, naturally, we don't have a very long attention span. People can only focus on what you're saying for 8 minutes, and that too is like the longest attention span. And after 8 minutes they will lose you, and you will have to ask a question, or crack a joke, or say something interesting to get back their attention. And please do not torture people with 100 slides in your presentation. There shouldn't be more than 30 slides, and 30 is like the highest number. So 10 to 30 slides in your presentation. And there shouldn't be a lot of information on your slides. There should be like 1 to maximum 5 points in bullets on your slides, or it can be a picture, or it can be text and picture, but not long sentences. Nobody is reading them, and nobody cares. Okay. So the first, because we don't have enough time, presentation skill is a skill that people learn in weeks, and I think they should learn it in weeks because it's such an important skill. So less is more is my first tip that I would like to give you and the listeners. The second thing I would say is that please focus on how you look. It's very important, especially when you're presenting, is how you look. So wear clothes that are comfortable, wear colors that are accepted in that culture. So I learned it the hard way that the only acceptable colors in the industry are white and blue. Yes, and I know that it's a hard pill to swallow, but you should wear colors that are soothing, that are neutral. So very dark colors, or the colors that represent a political or religious uh, belief, are a big no-no. So please wear neutral colors, light colors, and wear clothes that are. So I've seen many people, they've never, worn a tie, or they don't even know how to select a tie, and they would wear a tie in a very important business meeting, and they would be uncomfortable. They can't even breathe properly in that meeting. So please do not torture yourself. Wear the clothes that you generally wear, but they should be nice enough and acceptable in that business setting. So wearing a suit, I once heard somebody saying that if you like money, wear a suit. So it doesn't mean that the moment you wear a suit, money will start raining on you. No, but it means, it shows that dress is important. So people start paying you more attention. They start paying you more money as well in the long run, if you start dressing up and if you start focusing on your dresses. Another thing that I'd like to share: don't dress for your current job. Dress for your dream job. Dress for the job that you would like to have. So for example, if you are an assistant at the moment, so don't dress like an assistant. You want to be the CEO one day, so dress like a CEO. And when you start dressing like a CEO, you will eventually get there and you will become the CEO. That's another important point for presentation skills, is that you can easily lose people's attention if you are wearing a color which is not very pleasant to the eyes, that if you're wearing a dress which is not comfortable and you're fidgeting because of it. So I think these two will be enough for today's topic, that less is more, not a lot of information. Please rehearse so much that you can say a lot by using very few words. It's not a skill to say a lot, it's a skill to say less and mean a lot, or to give a good message. So less is more, and focus on your dress.
Wonderful tips, sir. They were indeed less, but they are definitely going to create more impact on the people
Thank you.
around. So, my concluding question to you is any message for our youth?
Okay, um, there's only one thing that I would say to the youth. First thing first is that be better. Be better. Be better at what? Be better at whatever you are doing. If you're studying, study better. If you're working, work better. And do not worry if you have to start little. I've seen many very talented people. They want to become the CEOs, or they want to do big things, but they're not ready to start small. How will you do big things? Nature will never promote you to do big things if you don't start with small things. And you know hundreds of people who have done excellent job in their lives. They all started very small. Their beginning was very humble. So I would say, start right away. Don't be late. It's not that age where you will wait to become 40 and then you will start doing something. No, very young people are changing the world right now. You know, Greta Thunberg, you know, Malala Yousafzai, you know, very young people who are changing the course of history right now as we speak. So don't wait to become older. Start what you believe in right now. Take small steps and become better at what you do. Become a better speaker, become a better writer, become a better, have better relationships. So every day, learn, invest in yourself in terms of time, and then take one more step.
Lovely message, sir. Thank you so much. I, on behalf
Thank you,
of
Greta.
Global Shapers Travel 20 Hub, extend my gratitude for your presence over here. It was indeed one of the best sessions we had, and I believe our audience must have learned some valuable insights from you. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
being here, and I also thank to all the viewers. We had some lovely comments, and thank you for viewing and for actively participating. I would conclude this session with a quote: no matter what job you have in life, your success will be determined 5% by your academic credentials, 15% by your professional experiences, and 80% by your communication skills. And I am sure that you have learned this 80% in this 1 hour. Thank you so much, sir,
Thank
for
you.
accepting the invitation. Please do not forget to join us next Saturday. We shall be having another expert who shall be guiding you how to grow yourself personally and professionally. With this, I sign off. Tata, bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.